live at that second, and it would have been really funny. Hey guys, how the hell have you been? It's Real Men Talk Shit. We got Josh texting and being rude as fuck, and we got Rekieta Law on this time.
Bro! This is publicity, guys. For everybody that's wondering, I'm going to be looking at my phone for a minute. I'm hyped that we've got Nick here, and I'm making sure that I tweet about it, post in the Discord. I'm trying to spread
We got to
the
post
word.
everywhere and say, you know what? We're good at our job and say that we
Yes.
actually have people. I'm just fucking with you because it's fun to rib you.
Oh,
How the hell have all of you guys been?
Been doing great, man. I'm very excited about this episode. This has been a long time coming. For those who don't know, this is Mr. Nick Rekieta Law. Is it okay if I call you Nick? Would you prefer?
Yeah. Of course. Nick is fine.
Law channel on YouTube. I'm very, very hyped about. I hope that you've been doing well, Nick. Myth, of course, as well.
Oh,
I'm doing great. Like, bro. I used to watch you all the time. I used to be super deep into politics when I was a bit younger. I've kind of fallen out of that now, but
Younger.
You're great. Well, I'm still really young.
Before you were legal, let's just say
I'm looking.
that.
I'm like looking. I'm like, yeah, you look real fucking old. I mean,
Yeah. He's like half all of our age. It's okay. He's our Gen Zer. He makes sure that we all get posted on TikTok.
I'm 29,
all
but
the
I might as
normal
well be
stuff.
50.
Yeah.
For my
Yeah,
age.
dude.
The gap in my knowledge of technology, you know, from going away. People say I'm like a grandpa. Came out with the Snapgram, InstaChat, and confusion, and I will say that it is an honor, man. Every single YouTube video that I have, like I mentioned right before we went live, I think almost every YouTube video says, dude, you need to talk to Arcata Law. And initially, of course, I'm just like, what is that? And I've been told, and I would, of course, would ask preferably for your description, but they basically said that you break down legal cases and things. You know, you are an attorney, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm a small town lawyer. A small town lawyer who ended up on the YouTube grift train, which is great. By finding a case that I knew something about the parties, and I just started drinking and reading the case and letting people know, like, just translating, right?
Yeah.
What was in there. And that was the start of it. It was a complete accident, but it's been a happy accident.
Excellent.
So now I have migrated kind of into covering the live trials is something that's pretty popular, but really, like, every weeknight at 11 Central, I do a YouTube show. That is, I mean, we talk about the law sometimes. Sometimes we get into politics. Most of the time it's just me drinking, telling jokes, and, you know, I find funny stories and talk about them. That's it.
Just spreading positivity and translating legalese into the layman's terms, huh?
Yeah, well, that and laughing at overweight people falling off of things or whatever. Like,
people pooping on beds, you know, that kind of stuff. Taking shits on their husband's bed.
From time to time. And hopefully reminding people that there are places out there where they can just get some normal, like, conversation. And not worry so much about, well, man, if I laugh at this joke, or if I snicker at this or that, my whole life's over because I'm going to get canceled. Right?
Well, that's what I wanted to be the title of the show. That's why it's so tongue in cheek. Real men talk shit. Like, if you don't understand and you aren't able to genuinely just have a conversation and fuck around with people and talk about, regardless of whether it's bullshit or extreme, hyper realistic, in-depth shit, then you're not able to have a conversation. You're not a real man. You're afraid of having that conversation.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you said the thing about getting canceled. Right before we went live, I was clarifying exactly how to pronounce his last name. And as is a habit of mine, I'm a guy that is really interested in world cultures. I always have been. I try to nail last names sometimes. Like, I know certain names, you know, I can say, oh, that's Polish origin and stuff like that. Mine's French, a bastard Creole French. But funny that you say that, because one time, me being a guy that likes other cultures, I asked an Asian person, I don't know what ethnicity they were out of curiosity, and I was accused of being racist. I'm glad that I wasn't live on the internet at that time. I was legitimately, honestly curious.
Was this an in-person interaction?
Yes, this was in person. Yes, whenever I was in high school, his family owned a gas station, and nobody really talked to this kid. And I was trying to be nice to him, you know. And I was like, "Hey, where are you from?" You know, and he was like, "Here." And I was like, I mean, I know you're American, dude, but, like, what ethnicity are you, man? Are you first generation immigrant, or your parents come here? And he was just like, what are you asking me that for, man? Are you racist? What are you trying to find out for? You racist piece of shit.
I'm trying to have a conversation
Yeah, I
with
was
you. It's
literally
probably
just trying to have a conversation.
this
and,
is
like, find
probably
some
why
common ground.
people don't talk to him.
But yeah,
Yeah, no kidding.
I found out pretty quick. I mean, he's a loner for a fucking reason, I guess, because I was just like, dude, you just called me a racist for asking where you're from.
Oh,
What can I possibly do? Like, am I not allowed to acknowledge the fact that people are from different places? I guess I don't know what exactly I did wrong, but thank you for not getting offended that I asked where your last name, originates.
You know,
it is
there's people that-
extremely. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You're good. I was just going to make a stupid joke. There's people that shit in their boyfriend's beds, and then there's also people that shit on everybody else. And you don't want to be somebody who shits on somebody. That's all you got to do is just
Metaphorically or
not
literally.
not take offense, man. Shit fucking happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is almost impossible to offend me. Like it takes a lot for a person to offend me. I can get offended at a concept. I can get offended by like some horrific act that someone does, right? Like it can strike to your core or whatever. But like just words, man. It's words. It's really challenging. And people say some vile shit, but it's like so
If you don't give it power, who gives a
cares?
fuck?
Exactly.
In all honesty,
That's a good way of putting
if
it,
you don't
Zach.
give it power, then obviously none of the words mean anything until you genuinely take offense to them, and that's exactly
Absolutely.
what the hell.
And then
it
you're
is.
giving it power. Yes, I see what you're saying.
I normally don't interact with chat, but I want to make a joke. Somebody said, "Try not to shart your pants on live stream is always wise." Actually, that will happen when I reach partner. I will shit in this chair,
Exactly.
throw the chair away, and buy a new one. But I will shit on live stream whenever you guys decide to push me to partner.
So what you're
And-
saying is you're going to get the check mark, and then you're immediately going to get it taken away.
Yes, exactly. Just troll the entire database.
Speed
'cause
run,
that's exactly what
partner
happened.
removal.
Yeah.
Are you saying if
seconds.
you would shit all over yourself and make money, like you'll make tons of money just shitting all over yourself?
Exactly.
That's
There
what
you
I'm
If
go.
you can't
Perfect.
take humor on yourself, then why would you actually make jokes about other people? And that's the exact point. If you can't literally shit yourself, then how can you make fun of anybody else?
Yeah, I
e-
agree.
exactly.
That's I can't stand people that like to dish it out but can't take it. I love roughing with people. I absolutely love clowning people. Being a sarcastic dickhead is part of my personality and is 100% false. That is not who I am as a real person at my core. It's my sense of humor. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I guess people get that mixed up, man. I'm a tough guy to offend, but the thing is that when I clown on people, I expect to be clowned on. Like when we went live and Zach was like, "Yeah, Josh is being rude," text on his phone. That was funny because I just got done saying everybody's gonna think I'm rude. Like he's roasting me a little bit, and that's probably a little different than what we're talking about. But I rub him, he rubs me.
It's a
Come on.
solidarity
isn't,
between
though.
people. Like
But
people
it
can
isn't
bond.
different. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
but
you're right. It's not smaller scale, perhaps. Or less possibility of offense. These small scale jokes.
The scale of the joke is directly proportional to how much offense the idiot who's receiving it takes from it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like you can say the most innocuous thing or the most lighthearted joke, and it can be the trigger point that blows everything out of the water. The shitting on thing was a reference. I won't get too deep into the specifics because now is not really the place, but I chuckled at a guy who I was friendly with. And I mean, I chuckled at a moment from a live stream, and that ended up being that was it. Like this guy's been on a fucking tear ever since. It's like, dude, I chuckled like mildly at you farting. That's it. That's all I did. You farted because it was funny that you farted on a live stream.
Simple as that.
In all honesty, like, do you think that the way people react is a cause of them actually being genuinely upset, or do you think it's a reason to look to, like, if you already don't like somebody, you look for a reason to hate them?
Yeah, I think that is part of it. It's for a lot of people, it's a way, it's the bridge, right? It's a bridge to where they want to be.
Confirmation bias almost.
Yeah, they're looking or waiting for some sort of excuse, like, oh, finally, now I've got something. Now I have permission to go there. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like if you're mad at someone, just, I guess, be mad at someone, or you could try not being a bitch and just not being that mad. Like, don't be mad at people in general, unless they do something like to personally harm you. But other than that, like, dude, I've been doing the YouTube thing now for 4.5 years, and the whole time I'm just consistently marveling at how these interactions and fights go online. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like,
No,
how does
exactly.
this happen?
Like my friend Cowboy, he's all of our friend. He's one of the patrons. He comes and hangs out with us every other week. And he came in and called me today, and he's like, "Man, I started doing a podcast, and I need your advice." He told me this big long story about how he was afraid to say something incorrectly. I said, "Man, you're either going to censor yourself for the rest of the time that it matters to you,
Yeah.
or you're not going to censor yourself and it will never fucking matter. Because if
Yeah,
you censor
make a
yourself
choice.
from the beginning,
Mhm.
you always will have to censor yourself to that level, or they will always see when you don't censor yourself as fake.
Yeah, you're
you
setting
don't
your
censor
expectations.
If you don't censor yourself, then obviously every single person that's watching you in that room, regardless if it's one person or hundreds of people, they will at least know you're genuine. It doesn't matter if your take is wrong
No,
and you have to repeal it at some point. The fact is that's genuinely how you feel, and that's the most important fucking part of it.
Absolutely.
I was saying that just the other day because so I run a YouTube show. And we have a chat. Like I said, the nighttime show is where I live. That's where I've been for quite a while now. That's where my core audience is. That's who comes back to me every night. And that's the like raunchy show because it's at night and it's kind of hats off.
Yeah.
But then during the daytime, like with the Johnny Depp thing with Kyle Rittenhouse, I try and cover live trials. And so I had someone on the other night, or someone who was new to the channel. And I had another attorney on who happens to be Jewish. And then people were kind of ribbing him in the chat. And these are people who know him, right? Like who know him, he's been on my show several times. And one guy's like, "Are you going to address the anti-Semitism in the chat?" And it's like, well, no, like if people are going to say what they're going to say. And then they had said
Viva Fry by any chance?
No, this was Good Logic, Joe Neerman, who was on, and they were like, "Well, I know it's free speech and all, but," and so first of all, you're
can't
losing.
throw a butt.
and
Can't throw a
and
butt.
it was like, but look at these specific anti-Semitic comments. Like, okay, well, but if I address those and I decide those are bad, now I'm not going to be addressing the next offensive thing and the next one. If you police one thing, you have to police everything, and
Pandora's
you can't.
box.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's Pandora's box. Once you start, then you have a standard that you are expected to be held to. And the second that you then crumble from that standard, you will be canceled. You will be worthless. You will be false. Just like Zach said, they're going to say you're fake, et cetera, et cetera. And y'all know how I am. I try very hard in this podcast to be very balanced. You know, I think that works out well. I think that Zach likes to come in with like a fiery, strong stance on it to open discussions and stuff like that, and so people would probably consider me to be very, I don't want to say censored. I'm hesitant. Is that the word?
I think it's more or less because of what's happened to you in the past with your case and stuff like that.
That's part
it
of
makes
it,
you very, very tentative about willing to say the joke or the thing that you're feeling to say.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking, what was it? Not last week, the week before, about how females push fucking fake accusations all of the time. And it's becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger problem, which is what we're seeing in the Amber Heard case, which is why so many women are speaking out about other problems that are going on in the country right now. You see everything kind of swaying this way, where it's slowly flipping. It's slowly flipping from feminism to male men's rights and stuff like that. And you see a lot of the problems coming to the forefront of, hey, every single person that's willing to say something, when they're censored by what you specifically feel, everybody will rebel at some point because they will be censored as well. It doesn't matter your opinion, doesn't matter what side you're on. At some point, you will be the bad guy. And if you are the bad guy, at that point, you're never not going to be the bad guy after you accept being the bad guy. So you might as well just be Howard Stern from the beginning and just say what the fuck you feel, because at some point you're always going to be the bad guy. Somebody will always disagree with you. You can't toe the line perfectly because you're not saying what you feel for your value and your morals.
And it's not even like necessarily like having to be as extreme as like Howard Stern or whatever, but you know, just be the way you are, and then you're not going to set false standards that people are going to rebel against then.
Yeah. And what I was saying about, and me specifically, you know, is that honestly, a lot of my real true opinions or thoughts, I don't really have necessarily a firm stance where I stick my flag in the ground and stand up for it and say this, because I'm very, I try to be very philosophical, if that makes sense. And I try to see all sides of things. I try. And I think I also would like to say, I think all humans think that about themselves, or they try to. Most people think I try to see both sides, where they really are not. So I very well could be wrong and distorted. But honestly, there's a lot of times, for example, I don't go into politics. Y'all know that. I dodge that shit like the plague. Okay. The political party that I do typically affiliate myself with, I piss a lot of people off. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like that they're like, no, you can't feel like that. Because I like to consider myself a pretty moderate dude. So I got stuff that'll happy and piss off both sides of the party.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really, you know, get a lot of opinions in that are firm and definitive, because I'm just, I guess a little too moderate, I suppose. I'm just always trying to see the middle ground. And so I'm not necessarily ever trying to censor myself. It took a little bit of balls on my part, Zach. I didn't really want to say that thing I said about the sexual harassment and how some women lie about it, because there are women that truly are sexually harassed that need help.
And we're not denying that in any sense.
Exactly.
But
we were stressing the fact that there needs to be
I'll take the hard position. I'll take the rough spot. Yep. Sexual harassment has never once occurred in the history of humanity.
It's all fake.
but
Genghis Khan never sexually harassed a soul. He was a saint.
Like a third
no,
of
it's
people on
not like
Earth
we're
have
not
his
all
DNA.
related, man. Come on.
They
We're
all
all cousins
it.
cousins and uncles.
We're all
and
Genghis
brothers,
Khan
you know.
cousins and descendants.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know.
But like in the
Not
grand
anymore,
scheme
I
of
guess.
things, in that specific circumstance, we see in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard why there's an entire court case is because she came out with a lie that stuck.
Yes.
When you hold somebody accountable like that in a situation that's not necessarily the truth, this is what happens. And men are finally coming and standing up and finally able to say something. And you see both of the parties. You see the entire center. You see the extremists on one side going way the fuck over there.
Exactly.
And the other side going way the fuck over there. And everybody in the center is sitting there bashing each other's heads in because we disagree over a week amount or a year amount or monthly amounts. And it's like understanding where everybody comes together is more important than when we're a little different.
Absolutely, man.
But people focus on the differences way more than where people join, because it's something that they can argue about. And honestly, people frankly value negative things way more than positive things. So
Unfortunately.
Well, it's the Johnny Depp case is really interesting in that respect, because this like men versus women, accusations, sexual harassment, whatever divide for some reason is categorized as left versus right, but it isn't a left versus right issue at all. It's like those are convenient shortcuts to try and get there. But I mean, if you look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, these are not right-leaning people. Like not in the
very
slightest.
left-leaning people.
Deep, we're deep in Hollywood land. We're in the liberal epicenter of America, and so it's like this clearly is not a right versus left issue. But at the same time, when she's getting the ACLU to help her draft her op-ed, they're like, we want to tie this in with Trump. We want to tie this in with his harassment of women. It's like, wait, but like Johnny Depp is clearly. He's clearly not a Trump guy. Like he had made an offhanded comment about the last time an actor had assassinated a president, for example. Like and he got a lot of heat for that, but you know, in their circle, it wasn't that big of a deal. This is not a left versus right issue. This is an issue of right now. We've got people exploiting power, and that's all through history. People have exploited power, but for whatever reason, we're in an era where words are given the most power of anything. I mean, you're almost worse off if you say the wrong thing, you're almost more reviled than if you shoot somebody. Like, and that's crazy to think about. That we're there.
It is very true.
Think about how many celebrities in the past year have gotten locked up for murder and stuff, and how quickly that is on and off of the news.
Oh yeah,
that one's gone quick.
Yeah, but somebody has a bad tweet and it's running 24/7.
Look at Chappelle. We've been hearing about that for 6 months now. You know, he might If we'd have shot somebody, just like Nick said, if he'd have shot somebody, we'd have heard about it. Would have been like, damn, Chappelle's gone for life, and then that'd have been it. But nope.
Or it
Instead,
would have
it's
been like
controversy and it's clicks and it's engagements on Twitter, and so we fuel it and fire it.
No, and you see people like Hassan sit here and portray Amber Heard as like this amazing case of mental health, and that's the only problem. And it's
Right.
like that's not the only problem.
yeah.
Because we do have freedom of speech, we also need freedom of being able to prove intent and showing that you're not guilty until you're proven guilty.
I wish
And
it worked like
let's
that.
go back to the way it was. It's not going back and like setting our country back, but the country goes on this crazy fucking roller coaster, and it's getting more and more extreme on both sides as it goes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
Hassan,
spiking.
I look while we're talking about Hassan, I have a policy. I just want to so I have to do this every time he comes up. Hassan is a giant heaping pile of garbage. So that's it. That was my whole policy. Just have to make sure and clarify that whenever he pops up.
No, like as far as politics goes, I try and like watch the extremes of both sides, so that way I can kind of see where their opinion and
I
ideals are.
almost feel like Hassan's not an actual political figure at this point. Like he's
I know nothing about him. I'm
mostly
assuming Hassan Abi, right?
Yeah. He's
Yeah,
like
I don't really know anything about him.
he's one of the most pseudo intellectual people I've ever listened to. He says big words to sound intelligent, but doesn't really ever say a damn thing.
Oh yeah, I love those people. They're always fun because, and they can. There's some of them who have gotten very good at doing this online. They'll get into debates or whatever and discussions, and they'll rattle off these like rote concepts at someone to support their side.
Mhm.
But when you get someone who knows, the issue at all, and they're just like, nope. And it's like, wait, what do you mean nope? It's like, well, here's why nope. And it's like, oh my God, put an economist on with Hassan and let him try half of the arguments and see how it goes. It'd be fantastic.
Well, he does the same thing everybody on the left does, which is just stick a descriptor on every single person. If it's not an ist word, you're a bigot. If it's not racist, sexist, or fucking goddamn, I completely lost my train of thought, and I'm not even high.
Misogynist, maybe?
Yeah. If you're not an ist, you're just a bigot. And it's like that invalidates every single thing you fucking say.
Hassan is the biggest grifter on Twitch within the political field. Like he's a React Andy. He sits he lives about 46% of his life on Twitch. Like last year he streamed like 46% of the year. And he sits there and reacts to whatever he wants, and then goes and tells his audience what they want to hear so he can get more views and more money. And then he goes in and spouts these ideas of taxing the rich while buying $1 million houses and designer clothes to go to concerts that only celebrities go to.
Yeah. So is it like, so if that's just briefly, if that's Hassan's hypocrisy, is like the hypocritical person on the right, the person who like preaches like free market capitalism or whatever, but buys like mac and cheese and wears garbage bags. Like what's I don't know how what's the converse of what's the bizarro world Hassan? I'm trying to figure that out.
There's
I want to be
definitely grifters on the right as
guy.
well, but
you would assume that it would be the people that are like so holier than thou, but have so many skeletons in their closet that you'll never see.
Oh yeah, that's the best. I try and stack my closet.
I mean, maybe it's something like, this is the farthest that I go with politics. Y'all know, I mean, this is already just a little bit too far for what I typically do personally. But I will say that, I mean, for example, if I'm following this correctly, because I don't really know this guy, but if you guys are looking for an example of somebody, fact is that Tucker Carlson said in court his show should not be taken seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He says all this crazy hyped up shit to make people
Yep.
get mad, and they throw their money at him, and they're mad, and it's white people versus everybody. And he said in a court of law, even though everybody ignores it, he's point blank said, my show is bullshit. Everything that I say, no reasonable person should believe it. Is that the same thing we're talking about here? Just doing it for the money?
It's definitely
hyping
Tucker
people up,
Carlson
making them
is
mad.
part of a network, so it's a little bit different. He has to take creative ideals from them and
That's very
really
true.
do what they told him.
direction. Whereas Hassan is doing it as a free agent,
A lot of people give Tucker credit for that, but he's not the one who invented that defense. Do you know who that defense is actually named after?
Alex Jones, right? No,
Glenn
It's
Beck.
the
I think he did that
Maddow
too.
defense, the Rachel
Oh.
Maddow defense. That's who used that defense first, and people often forget that was Rachel Maddow on I think MSNBC when they got sued. She basically said the same thing. And to
I
be
would assume
fair
that's the standard legal defense,
Yeah, Alex
right?
Jones did
Yes.
it as well during
I would
his,
assume that
Shaggy
in any
defense.
entertainment industry, that's
It wasn't
probably a
me.
viable route to argue. I would assume it's hard to prove that you are meant to be taken seriously. You know, it's probably pretty easy to say, "No, come on, nobody should believe this." And
Yeah,
I can assume that happens left, right, center all the time.
it's like a
Yeah.
truncated version of the defense that plays really well in the headlines, but the reality, and again, to Rachel Maddow's credit, to Tucker Carlson's credit, the actual legal defense is we are opinion shows. We are not news shows, and they run on news networks, but they're very clearly like, this is Tucker Carlson tonight. This is not 11 o'clock news. So you're going to get commentary, you're going to get opinion that's going to be thrown in there, and they're going to be adjacent to news stories, but they are going to be actual commentary.
Which
I mean,
gives
it's
it legitimacy, just like it does on the other news stations. It's not specific to Fox or to CNN or whichever you like to watch. It's not specific.
Yep.
It's the same thing. They're going to try to mix in the news with some facts and opinions, and then it comes across as this was stated this way, and
it's kind of something
everybody
that's
takes a run with
fading
it.
out because, like, I don't have cable. I don't watch cable anymore. Most
have
young
cable
people
either.
don't have cable.
Nope.
You know,
I'm done with it.
It's something that now we're getting not these large networks where they can do things like just mix in fact and opinion, and where we're having like more YouTube and content create based where usually a video is on one topic and you know whether it's opinion or factually based.
True.
So I think as things go on, it will get better. Although I'm sure people will find a way to skirt around it, as you know they always do.
So I know we kind of skated around it, but this whole Amber Heard thing and Johnny Depp thing, to get off of going politics wise for Josh, so that way he can contribute. I got you, buddy. No worries.
I was just mostly lost. I don't really know much about the guy or anything, so I was just sitting here like, okay.
I know. That's why I'm cycling back around. So that way it's
we're just trying to get you into as much internet beef as possible without you being aware of it. That's what we're doing.
I think my first episode when I was a guest on this, I think I called out a big content creator on accident. And
yeah,
Zach
you called out Keemstar, and I was working on getting him as a guest too.
And immediately Zach was like, "I'm trying to get him on the show."
Still trying to, get him on the show because I think it would be an interesting conversation.
It would be interesting, but
Keem, get on here. Get on here, you giant pussy. Get on here, Keemstar. Come show everybody what's up. No, I'm just kidding. Keemstar's I've talked to him a couple times. He's always been a good dude to me.
That's pretty much what I said on the show.
That he's a giant pussy.
No, I was like, come back up. Come defend your shit, bro. Come defend your shit. Come tell us about it. You so
Dude,
cool. Look, I got personal. It's personal for me because I'm a RuneScape player, and he accused a RuneScape player that was an old man of being a pedophile, and it never stopped. And then he apologized and then went back on the guy and pretty much ruined this like old man's life.
Well,
so,
Keemstar is one of those people that's always content first. He cares about the views more than he does being reliable, and honestly, like probably ruined that guy's life almost. Like,
yeah, he went from over 100 viewers a day down to like 20 because people just ran with it. Because just like we were talking about a minute ago, somebody says something and any kind of a news source, whether that, I don't even remember what he called that. What's that called? Internet what's he call it? Drama alert, right?
Drama alert.
Yeah, drama alert.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was called. And this it wasn't him. It straight up wasn't him. And he was like, this dude's a pedophile and blah, 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 and all this. And it did come out that he had been talking to like a 20-year-old girl that was flirting with him that clearly wanted some of his Twitch money. But she was of legal age.
Yeah.
She was 20. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not creepy to me.
It's
That's my personal opinion.
That's
my personal opinion. A lot of people don't think that. They think as long as they turned 18, then it's not fucking weird anymore. But okay, whatever. And
there
the
is
dude was
some
just
level
totally reviled for something he didn't do and was not involved with,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's that's the danger of a platform, right? Because I don't know this specific situation, but it doesn't matter, right? If Keemstar says something salacious about someone, he can post a retraction, he can try and undo it, but you can't.
The first story goes bigger.
You can.
Yes. The retraction is never going to be as effective. It will never have the
seen
reach.
that video where the cop threw the bag back into the guy's car?
Yeah, I've seen that.
You guys see that? Yeah, there was a video
No.
of, it's like maybe a teenager, a young black dude, and he's filming and all this, and the cop comes around and he's filming, and the cop clearly throws a bag on the seat, and the dude's like, "Hey man, no, you planted that, blah 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 blah, man," and it went super viral, and everybody's like, "Oh man." In the long form video, the cop blatantly says that was in your friend's pocket.
Yeah,
I didn't plant that.
Yeah.
It was in your friend's pocket. I just pulled that out of his pocket, and it was empty, by the way. There wasn't even drugs in it. He said, "That's an empty baggie that I pulled out of your friend's pocket, clown. I'm not planting anything." But look, when I looked at it, the video of the cop throwing the bag had like 15 million views. The long form video of them saying, I'm not planting that. You're not being charged with it. That is something I found, and I'm not planting it. That's his right now. Like the whole long form where he very clearly did the proper police etiquette and explained to him, this is not being charged with you. That had like 10,000 views.
Oh yeah, and this is something that the news does all the time as well. They'll post a story and then it'll blow up, and then they'll post a retraction after they get heat for it, and it'll get like basically nothing, a very low fraction of what the original story got.
True.
And they keep doing it, and they know what they're doing. It's just they'd rather have the clicks.
Did you guys know that there were a lot more people against me when I got out of prison? Did y'all know that because of what I said?
Yeah.
That's the rare occasion, man, and that was because of publicity. That was because of publicity.
Well,
That was the news. I was all over the news when I got arrested. They added a year to my age, which made it sound a lot worse. Look, a 19-year-old making that threat against the high school that he just dropped out of is a little bit different than a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
You probably should retell the story for Nick. Just that way he has a general idea.
Yeah.
I'm only peripherally familiar with your story. All I know is that basically you are Satan, and you played RuneScape, which makes you double Satan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still plays RuneScape.
Retarded
Triple Satan.
Modern day Dungeons and Dragons is the devil game.
Retarded Satan.
All right. So long story short, man, to the viewers that are regular on this podcast, we're sorry that we have to, skim through this every now and then. But I was drunk back in 2012 playing the game RuneScape. A friend of mine logged in and was talking to me about this video game that makes fun of the Columbine shooting. It was a popular video game at the time. I found no interest in it. I looked at the page. I did not download it. That was a big deal with the FBI. They tried to say that I downloaded it. I had to prove that I didn't. And the judge basically said he didn't care because he didn't know what download meant. I told him I didn't think this was funny, this Columbine shooting game. Yeah, my judge told me he didn't know what download meant. Yeah. I told him no. Another player says, don't talk about Columbine, bro. If you're going to Columbine, you should just call me on the phone and kill yourself. Typed his phone number in the chat, tells me to call him and kill myself, right? So I said, bro, killing myself would just be a waste, man. I got to take people with me, dog. I'm going hard, man. Shit. Wait till the Columbine anniversary. You want to see something about Columbine? Just wait, buddy. On April 20th, that's hey, on 420, I'm going in, bro. 4 days later, the SWAT team, the bomb squad, and the FBI raided my house. I was arrested. Was charged with transmitting threats to destroy buildings, along with transmitting threats to kill and injure the person of another. It became a huge, huge case for online freedom of speech where the threats can be drawn, because at the time, the only pending case was Alonis versus United States, where he rapped about how he wanted to kill his wife and blow up a kindergarten in a rap song. And he ended up, going to prison for it, for being too specific, basically. His case was pending in the Supreme Court at the time. And here's the thing with you being an attorney, right? At the time that I made the threats, the standard was if a reasonable third party could believe that the threats were credible. That was the standard at the time. Since Alonis versus the United States is now passed, there must be proof of criminal intent at the onset of the threat, meaning I know I was intending to cause a panic, I was intending to cause an evacuation of a building, or I was intending to actually go through with it, and there's evidence thereof. This was pending. This Alonis versus the United States was pending in the Supreme Court. My lawyer came to visit me the day before jury selection started, and he said, listen, they're starting jury selection tomorrow. This is your last chance. You've got 2 charges, 10 and 5. They're going to run them wild. You're going to do 15 because the law says if you said it, it's a crime. So I'm just telling you right now, this is your last chance to accept your responsibility and get those points knocked off and lower your range, because if you take this to the box, they're going to give you 15. And I said, okay, you convinced me. I'm scared to death. I was 20, and I said, okay, fine, 15 years. I can't even wrap my head around that. I signed the paper and I pled guilty for making these threats, unknowing that there was a pending Supreme Court case wherein, like, literally, if I did the same thing today, I wouldn't go to prison for it. But I ended up being sentenced to 6 years.
You'd hope, yeah.
I served 5. I served 1,795 days the first time. The judge hated my guts. I got out, smoked a joint, drank a beer. He sent me back for another year and a half. So that's kind of the long and the short of it.
Bag.
Yeah, it's the judge, man. It's kind of a long story. The dude hates my guts. I wrote a letter to him and I read it and made a YouTube video about it. And unexpectedly, it was quite popular. I had a lot of grievances, to say the least. He very much had a personal problem with me. I'm openly admit that he is a judge that is much more part of the solution than he is the problem. He is light with sentencing. He is a compassionate judge, man. I give him credit there. He is known for being compassionate. But for me, no, sir. I don't know. The only thing I can fathom, I always said I must remind him of somebody that fucked his daughter or stole his girl back in the 50s or something. You know what I mean? Like, it had to be because he sees me and I'm talking about, man, the second that man looks at me, there's rage in his eyes. I don't get it. I don't know what it is. But the system's fucked because I have no choice but to be subject to this guy that hates my guts. You know what I mean? I don't know what's in his head and who I remind him of or what his past biases are or et cetera, you know? So yeah, man, I said that I was going to shoot the school. I did say it. I straight up said it. I said
and
my last name.
You put a date down. That was
the date was a Saturday, by the way. The date was a Saturday. We found out after I was in jail for 3 or 4 months. It was coming up on, you know, at 420, and we were like, wait a fucking minute, man. Come on, dude. Come on. And they're over here acting like I've been meticulously planning this shit. That's the thing, man. And I would imagine that you're quite familiar with this. And this is kind of the crux of my case and why I talk so loudly about it. I openly acknowledge, man, that what I did was fucked. I get it, man. I understand you can't say. And let me also remind everybody, this was 2012, bro. There was a mass shooting in a movie theater that year. And other than that, I can't even remember a mass shooting other than like VTech. Like, it wasn't this atmosphere at that time. All right. Like, I get it. I get them coming and raiding my shit. I get them arresting me, some counseling, some therapy. I was an alcoholic. I had no job. I was strung out on drugs. You know, I'm just being honest here, man. I was not an upstanding member of society. There was no reason for them to look at the case and just instantly dismiss it. I also openly admit that. All right, Nick. I was a piece of shit. I
disagree, but go for it.
I mean, I'm going to say that the counseling and the things that could have happened would have done the same for me that I am now. Like, now I've been sober for years now, dude. I got a baby girl and another on the way. I'm married, you know, and things are going great on Twitch. But I served a lot of time in prison to get there, like a copious amount. And that's kind of been the crux of my story, is not only the fact that I get it, I fucked up, but 6 years was overkill by a damn sight. Yeah. And also, I am very much open to exposing, if that's the term for it, what links the FBI went to try and prove that I was going to do something I was never going to do. Because there is, I have to say alleged, and I'm sure you understand that, Nick. There's alleged blackmail in my case. The reason that I was given so much time, 2 of my ex-girlfriends offered testimony at my sentencing hearing. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorn, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
And they got up there and they ripped me a new one, right? And it was very confusing to me why these girls would get up there and say he was going to do it. He told me he was going to do it because they had records of my phones. He never said this. They tore up my whole house, and these girls said he had plans and drawings. He didn't have any plans or drawings. Oh, he was saving money up. I didn't have a bank account and I didn't have a job. Like, none of literally every single thing that they said was easily able to be disproven. Yep. I mean, and I remember the prosecutor saying that famous line. Which way is it? Let me think here. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Please, Nick, can you please tell me better? Can you give me better evidence of absence than absence of evidence? What better?
You know what? That is a nice scientific argument. That is a nice argument for the scientific method that an absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
But in philosophy
in a criminal court in the United States, absence of evidence literally is the evidence of absence.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what else can I offer you other than the absence of evidence? You know, like literally the crux of this crime is that I was saving these things, you know, and okay, so here's the thing about the blackmail, and this is all alleged. Let me also say this is from the girl herself, and I will also publicly state that I believe her. Okay, everybody, I believe that this is what happened. I believe this is the truth, in my personal opinion.
I don't even know. I don't even need you to tell me the story yet. I want to hear the story, but I don't need you to tell the hypothetical alleged story without knowing that that there was pressure and leverage put on these girls. I'm guessing to make them a willing accomplice if they did not go ahead and offer testimony against you. Is if you don't do this, if you don't testify, we're going to have to assume, you know, that you were in on it, that you were helping him plan this, that you knew you could have said something and you didn't, right? Like, that's
very, very close. That was 98%, man. The only difference is what they were charged with, what they were holding over their head. You're absolutely correct. You already know the method. They squeeze them like oranges until they get what they want. And this girl, in her own words, this is her words, not mine. And I believe her. She said, okay, so there's 3 prosecutors, right? There's 3 prosecutors on my case. One of them didn't touch my case because I went to school with his daughter. His daughter was in my grade. So you already know conflict of interest. He did not
Yep.
touch my case. He didn't file a paper. He didn't write a motion. He's a prosecutor, and I went to school with his kids, and so they tried to cover that up real good, right? But he has a son, that third prosecutor that didn't touch my case. He had a son, and he was in 2 grades, 3 grades below me, right? My ex-girlfriend Meredith got very.
You only said first names. You're good. Just continue your story. You only said first names. Nobody knows who the fuck it is. If you play it off, you're fine.
So my ex-girlfriend.
It was a hypothetical name anyway.
Well, I mean,
Made
yeah,
up.
I didn't say her real name, but still, it was close enough. Good grief. Anyway,
You didn't say her real name.
allegedly,
Stella Anderson.
according to her, yes, her. That's the one. So, according to her, she got very screwed up at a party, had a threesome with a 17-year-old
Uh-oh.
who took pictures on his phone. Guess who that 17-year-old was?
Yep.
The son of the
Prosecutor's
prosecutor.
son.
Is it how crazy is this? This is this is her side of the story. I'm not saying it happened, and essentially she was charged with production of that's a mandatory minimum charge right there. You're going to prison for that if you get charged with
And
that.
it's like the literal opposite of the intent. How old is the hypothetical person in this scenario? 18? It's 18,
She was 18.
17?
Yeah. The law was not supposed to apply here. I mean, it was
Nope.
because it was federal. That's the only reason. He uploaded the pictures to the cloud.
Well, it's because it was
and it became federal.
It's because it
Oh
was
my God.
convenient. It's because it was convenient for them is why it applied, not because it was federal.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. That's the truth. That, like, the loophole legal thing is they put it on the cloud, But here's the thing. In her words, they were very discreet. They showed up at her college. She had moved out of town to go to a different college because of the incident, because of the rumors. She said because of that happening, and everybody knew. She said so. She skipped town, went to a different college. She said 2 police officers came to her house, knocked on her door, arrested her, kept it very under wraps. She talked to the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor on my case, who mentioned me by name. Is that illegal, Nick?
No,
It's not illegal for him to say this is an unrelated case, but you know about Josh Plaughton if you offer his testimony on him specifically. And she also told me, now this is the kicker. This is where it might get illegal.
it's
He apparently
unethical.
showed her a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
He-
It's definitely
he showed her a
unethical.
PowerPoint. Yeah, unethical for
He
sure.
showed-
He showed her a
Showed her a
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
Yes, in her words, he showed her a PowerPoint of what she said during their first interview 17 months before. He gave her a PowerPoint. And she told me that he went through the PowerPoint twice and reminded her multiple times of what she said.
That's the bullshit. They did that. So going to the Kyle Rittenhouse case, I don't know if you remember, but there was the guy, the photographer, Nathan DeBruin.
Yep.
And they did that to him, where he came in to show some pictures that he had taken from that night. They had asked him, the prosecution had asked him to come in, and then they were trying to get him to identify Joshua Zeminski, who's the guy who took the first shot into the air that kind of triggered, that a lot of people think triggered the whole event.
Yeah.
Domino effect.
And what they did was they're like, they have him give his whole statement, and they're like, do you recognize this guy? And they're like, no. And then they start showing him pictures of Joshua Zeminski from other contexts, right? And they're like, so now you see this guy, you see that that's the same guy, and then they're like, do you want to change your statement? And Nathan DeBruin
Oh my God.
and talked about this, but that was part of his testimony. Him trying to get him to change his statement about this incident after they had showed him evidence that they had collected, trying to make that into his memories. And they are not supposed to do that shit, but prosecutors, man, they get so much leeway. They can lie to you. They can do all of this stuff. They
I would go to prison, contempt or something if I did what they do.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I remember a big thing during the Kyle Rittenhouse case is the prosecutor would mention things that he wasn't supposed to mention in front of the jury and then get reprimanded for it and then just do it again because he wasn't actually getting in
Because
trouble.
now it's already in their head. Who cares,
Yep.
Objection sustained. Oh, well, the jury already heard it. He did his job,
It's just like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard shit. Every 2 seconds you hear hearsay, and it's like they heard you. It doesn't fucking end anything. It's just you're saying, oh, take that from your mind. No, that doesn't work.
And they're trying to the credit of Johnny Depp's lawyers, especially on this Amber Heard direct examination that we ended the week on. They have been Camille Vasquez is the attorney who's doing the Amber Heard as a witness for Johnny Depp's team. She'll be the one doing cross-exam. She has been trying to nail those hearsay objections before anything is said, and she's been doing a pretty good job. But yeah, it's there's the whole plant it in the mind of the jury and consequences be damned. Now they're in a civil case, so they have to tread a little bit lighter. Because if they do it too much, if they get too egregious with it, they could be sanctioned. Prosecutors are almost never sanctioned for pulling the same bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just like the judge is just like, now, don't you do that? And it's like, don't you do that, judge? This is my life on the line.
Exactly.
It's like they're the state. They should be at a far higher standard than any of this.
They're
but they're not. They're granted this is my country. Way.
Yeah.
I feel like they do the legal equivalent of Cobra Kai. Like you remember in the Karate Kid, they're like hit him in the nose, even though you lose a point. Now the motherfucker can't see. It's too late. It's worth it. I feel like they're doing that legally. Like, oh yeah, we took the hit for the objection or whatever, but now he's fucked. Now he can't see. You know. I just feel like they're Cobra Kai in it.
It's nuts, man. And you know, you mentioned that your case couldn't have happened today because of Alonis, I think you said, which I'll have to read that case. I wasn't familiar with the case itself.
He was reconvicted, by the way.
Oh shit.
The standard was raised, but he specifically was reconvicted. I don't think I would be.
Dude, have you heard of this kid named Lucas Gerhard?
I don't believe so.
Okay, he's up in Michigan. And he was going to school on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he had this guy had been the backstory is deep. He's going to college. He was a police cadet, like with a junior cadet program where he gets to go and hang out with cops and do cop things, but he's not like on the force or whatever. And so he's like this guy who wants to be a cop, and he's in a law enforcement class in college. And this is like 2 years prior to the incident, or a year prior or something. And he gets the discussion question. Like when I went to college, message boards were barely ever used, but now it's like a thing where you have to post shit on a message board and you have to participate. And so they did, for him, he had to answer the question, should women be in law enforcement? Right. And so he's like, look, most women will not meet the current standards for physical fitness for law enforcement. So I don't believe that most women would qualify, but if they can meet the physical fitness standards, then sure, they can go ahead and do it. And the standards should not be lowered. So you had it's a pretty common take, right? Well,
wait, was that controversial that he said that?
It was in his college, right? With a couple of the women in the class who went apeshit on him. Yeah. And then they started dogging him everywhere he went, doing the cancel culture shit for years, just going after him. And then what finally happens is he's on break from school, like the winter break, it's Christmas time, and he's about to go, or no. It was, it would have been summer break. He's about to go back to school, and he takes a picture of his AR-15 and he posts on Snapchat to his friends only. And importantly, the girls who had been dogging him for a while, they have been blocked from his Snapchat, so they can't see this. And he writes the post, and it says, bringing this bad boy up north or up to school, gonna watch the snowflakes melt. And by snowflakes, I mean snow, right? So kind of an edgy post.
He even clarified. Yeah. He said by snowflakes, I mean snow.
Right. Yeah. But in his police interview, he did say that the snowflakes would be like melting the minds of people or whatever. But people who are sensitive. He gets charged with making terroristic threats from Snapchat because one of his friends showed one of those girls.
Fuck's sake.
So she wasn't even the intended recipient.
And she's like, haha, I got something now. I'm scared. Oh no.
And the crazy thing is, it was perfectly legal and legitimate for him to bring his gun to college, which he did, because they have an armory on campus, because it's Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Kids are going to go hunting, stuff like that. Yep. Yeah. So he drives to school, checks the gun in at the armory, cuffs go on him right after. And that was back in August of 2020. He was arrested. He was held for 83 days in jail without a hearing. And then they finally got a hearing, and he's been on house arrest since then till now. So he's still on house arrest
Is he
a year and
pre-trial
a
then?
half later. And, they have not gone to trial. They've had some, here's what the prosecutor did in his case. So they had a bail hearing to get the ankle bracelet removed, because you have to pay for that. People don't usually know when you're
you
on
do.
probation, especially in state court,
Mhm.
but sometimes in fed court too. When you're on that pre-trial probation period, your pre-trial release, you have to pay for your drug testing, and you have to pay for the ankle monitor on your foot, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's hundreds of dollars a month that you're paying on these things.
And if you can't, guess what?
You go
Have
to
fun in jail where
Yep.
you really can't pay.
And so they're trying to get this thing off, and the prosecutor brings in a video of the Christchurch, New Zealand shooting and plays it in court as if that had anything to
Inflammatory.
do with it.
It's inflammatory.
And the judge like watches the video, goes ballistic that this guy was going to murder all these people. And he's like, he had nothing to do with it. And
This
so then,
sucks.
he's keeping that ankle bracelet on. And I mean, this case should have been dismissed like yours. I mean, your case should have been dismissed outright. It's obvious that this is a joke. This is a shit post.
What
And,
does the Christchurch shooting have to do with that case in any sense? The Christchurch shooting doesn't
Inflammatory.
even relate to schools.
Isn't that what it's
Yep.
called, Rekieta? I mean, Nick, isn't that what it's called? Inflammatory? It's just inflammatory. They're just trying to get you pissed.
Yep, they just wanted to put the judge in the state of mind like this is what he was going to do, which is ludicrous for one thing, but for two, even if he were this, look, I've not gotten a chance to talk to him, but I've talked to his dad. His dad's a 30-year Marine colonel.
Wow.
This is not a kid who's going to shoot up a school, but even if he were intending to go and shoot up a school, Christchurch would still have nothing to do with it because it's in
Yeah.
fucking New Zealand.
It's New Zealand. It's a church, not a school, and it's not even. I mean, what the fuck? It's not relevant. It's just inflammatory, just to piss them off.
It's oh god, yeah, it's nuts. But that's the leeway that prosecutors get. I mean, if you try that shit in civil court, the other party would. I mean, you might get sanctioned to the point of losing the case. It's crazy how improper that was, but prosecutor just got to run with it.
I mean, they're basically able to do whatever the hell they want. It's I mean, with that old the Latin phrase, I never memorized it in Latin for some reason, but who will guard the guardians? You ever heard that? You know that?
Yeah, I don't know
whatever.
I don't know the Latin for it, but yes, I've
Who will
heard
guard
it.
the guardians? You know, I mean, they're in charge. I mean, you go complain to the feds that the feds are fucking you? Look, somebody said in my Twitch chat earlier, we did an internal investigation and found that we did no wrongdoing. Have a nice day. I mean, what the fuck do? You know what I'm saying? They're in complete and utter control, and they can do things like arrest people for bullshit charges and charges that weren't meant in the spirit. The spirit of the law is something that I never learned about until after I was locked up, and that's a very important thing that is largely ignored. The spirit of the law is completely ignored, and it is instead warped into the widest possible net with as many hooks as it possibly. If they can possibly squeeze you into this charge, they will. It's the exact opposite of the way it's intended to work.
And there's actually a legal rule on it. It's called the rule of lenity. And the idea is that the rule of lenity suggests that the law should be intelligible to the average reasonable person. So if you have a law that looks like, no, this law is for this purpose, and then you're trying to sneak people in and expand the use of the law, the rule of lenity in criminal trials specifically suggests that the court needs to call attention to the purpose of this law and that it's not intended for this.
I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
It gets Robert Barnes has talked about it quite a bit. We talked about it a lot during Kyle's case because one of his charges was he was a minor in possession of a firearm.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. And the crazy thing about that minor in possession of a firearm charge is that it was not intended to encompass a 17-year-old with a rifle. What it was intended to do was encompass basically kids with handguns, specifically handguns in the inner cities, Milwaukee,
to address real crime,
Green Bay, right? To address where unfortunately U.S. gets such a bad rap on gun crime. The overwhelming majority of U.S. gun crime is gang related in inner cities. That's just where almost all of it happens.
It's just
And
not on
so-
the news as much as school shootings are, to be fair.
Right. Well, it's
Mhm.
not as salacious, right? Like it's every day in Chicago, and it's every day to the tune of 2 to 4 people.
I live in New
how-
Orleans. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's
Yeah.
every day.
I grew up in Houston, Texas in the 80s, and I remember when we moved from Houston to Minnesota, it was such a weird thing because the year that we moved up in 1991. In Minneapolis had 62 or 63 murders in all of 1991. And in Houston, when we moved up, I think in 1992, that was January in Houston was the 63 murders. So you're talking 2 a day. And I remember the news stories every night. It's murder, murder, murder. It's like, geez, can somebody take a break from killing somebody?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you would assume that the people that would try and bring up the community and fix the community would understand that gang problems are the main problem. Like, let's deal with the gang problem. It's not necessarily a power problem. When you take the father out of the home, it starts a bigger issue, and then everybody's looking for a dad figure, and just goes and goes and goes. Why is that so wrong to say?
Because of political correctness, man. Like we're just stuck in this time, and it's back to the beginning of the show, and where the origin of the conversation is that words have been given all of the power in the world.
Yes.
And they used to not mean much of anything, but now you've got, I don't know if it's a bunch of like fucking pansy psychologists or whatever have brought us here saying like, oh, it used to be sticks and stones may break my bones, words will never hurt me. And I know that's like a very juvenile saying to try and reinforce kids, but at the same time, it was true. You have to give power to the speaker to allow the speaker to
And I
cause you
remember
harm.
Woody's gamertag coming up with this saying that kind of like pushed that into the new era. It was, understand somebody on the other side of the screen can say whatever the fuck they feel like, but you also have the power to walk over to the power button and turn it off because you'll never see it again.
That's like that old Tyler the Creator quote.
Yeah.
Wow, is
Like-
cyberbullying real, motherfucker? Turn your phone off.
Like,
Close
it's
your
not as-
eyes, turn it off.
Walk
Close the
away from your
window.
computer.
Damn.
Like, it's not so hyper complicated that it's like, can you just understand it's not a color issue? It's a low income issue. When low income people need money, they turn to drugs. When they turn to drugs, they go to jail, and then their kids do the same exact thing. It's a cycle. Why? Like, I was a low income family for the entire part of my life. Like, that's what fucking happened. Half of my friends from elementary school and middle school are in jail or have committed
prison dead,
murder
overdose. Yep.
or overdosed. Like, what the fuck? Like, why can't we just point it out and say it? I got so flamed for that and said that I was told that I had white privilege and everything else. It's like, motherfucker, you don't know who the fuck I am. I grew up with no dad. I grew up with no fucking money. I grew up with a mom who struggled extremely hard mental health wise and kind of only worried about herself 80% of the time. Like, that's what fucking happens. You fall
That's
into
life.
very, very bad circles. You fall into gangs, essentially, because you have a group of friends that looks at each other's backs, regardless if it's by color or by class. Like, you just fall into those
as
things.
he is, or was it blood? It was Bloods. wasn't
No,
it?
it was. I
Secret
was
team.
asked to join the Crips, and I was asked to join the Latin Kings.
He's
We can
an
go over the
MS-13,
Latin
yeah.
Kings.
MS 13. Oh my god. Are they that famous? How do you know about
Oh.
MS? I thought that was a Southern thing.
In California.
They're
Oh,
in
no.
California?
MS-13 has like I remember
I've met
Dude,
so
I
many
saw-
MS-13 where I'm at, dude, or where I was at.
I
They
went
were
on
running.
I went on a mission trip in high school, and from you got to understand I'm old. That's 22 years ago. To Juarez, Mexico, and we would see like MS-13 shit spray painted on the on like lampposts and stuff, and they're like, "Don't worry about it. It's just a gang of young kids, right? Like it's just a gang of young kids." And then like one of the local ones, and they're like, "Yeah, they just go by numbers of." It was like one of their precinct, like sections of the city or something. And now like
Right.
MS-13's this notorious
Yeah.
gang that I think they've achieved cartel status. I don't know if that's like an Xbox award or whatever that you get, but
Achievement
they're
unlocked.
they're
$1 million drug sale.
they're
Congratulations.
they're fucking horrifying too. Like that's the shit that turns my
No,
stomach. Is
They do the same shit the
cartel
cartel
shit.
does in Mexico, and the same shit ISIS and the Taliban did in the Middle East.
I can confirm they sell
behead
drugs
people
in
the
prison,
middle of
too.
the street. They sit there and sell drugs. They use the drug money in order to use their fucking terroristic threats and everything else. That's exactly what a lot of those people do, is just use violence to create more violence and use that violence to sell drugs, and then the drugs enable their violence. And it's like, we have to handle the problems. People say that we have to handle the problems. They're shit on because they say that they're racist. And it's like, it's not a race thing. It's dealing with the problem at hand. It doesn't matter what color the problem is. You still have a problem. If the problem was white, I would tell you to deal with the same thing as the problem of any other color. You have to handle the problem. If there's a massive aggression problem in whatever race, you have to handle the problems.
Yep, absolutely. Because like you said, it's typically not about the race, right? Because if you could take any racial demographic and remove them from various other socioeconomic conditions, and you don't find the same problems. It's often related.
It doesn't line up with adopted children. It doesn't line up with children that have both parents and live out of the city. So it has to be a societal and a lifestyle choice, not necessarily a problem with specific races or cultures. It's when you find that city culture and you enable
What is
that
glorified in your
Yeah.
culture? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't
yeah.
mean to cut you off. I was trying to add to
No,
that. I
you're
didn't mean to
good.
stop your sentence, but
Yeah.
like,
Good.
what do you glorify in your circle, in your culture, and in what you do? You know, what do you guys aspire to?
Definitely
Right.
a big part of it.
Who are your models?
And what I aspire to is talking about sex toys. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. And let's talk about our sponsor, Adam and Eve.
That would be such a good transition.
Are you
That would be
tired
great.
of being away from your partner? Have you heard of WeVibe? Control it from your phone, no matter where you are on Earth.
Uninstall
WeVibe by
Tinder.
Adam and Eve.
That sounded legit. I'm guessing you've worked with them, huh? That was pretty
No.
good. No,
No.
Bro, if they
I-
come to me about wanting to be on my channel, they can. What's up, Adam and Eve?
Yeah, it's
Exactly. Come on, Adam.
well,
and
you
Eve.
can. Their
We'll have sex
affiliate
conversations too.
their affiliate links are open. You know, you can join their
Yeah.
affiliate program, put your link on there, and get sponsorships for every giant dildo that someone buys.
I'm just not sure how many Moby
Yeah.
Huges we can sell, man.
Yeah,
I'm not
bro.
positive.
The
I mean,
problem is,
I want
Well,
$8
Moby
per
Huges in
inch
our
from every
background?
sale.
is I want the coupon
Body
code
inch.
to be real men talk shit or RMTS. You don't want coupon code long ass amount of letters and 20
Right,
at the end. That
RMTS,
just
man.
doesn't work.
Doesn't work exactly. I meant to mention one more thing about the spirit of law, or I guess this wasn't about the spirit of law. This is something that I don't care if people take this the wrong way. I wanted to say one more thing about my case. All right, I went to prison for saying I was going to shoot up a school. They said I was going to do it. The judge said he thinks I was going to do it. Right? They sent me away.
Mhm.
6 years. Okay. I just like a
This is 6
hypothetical
years,
here. As hypothetically, like, I just want to say, this is going to sound fucked up. Judge, y'all are real lucky I wasn't serious. I'm just saying. Oh no, my daughter's awake. Like, how in the fuck, if I really was a maniac that wanted to go shoot up a school, do you think the system stepping on me and put me in prison for only 6 years was gonna stop me? I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if I was that hell bent on it, if I was the sociopath they made me
Honestly,
out to be,
The thing is that would
I would have done it.
radicalize you more in that case.
Right, that's what I'm
It
saying.
would-
They're
it would-
lucky that I wasn't serious. It speaks for itself now in my lifestyle. But like, imagine if I really was serious, bro, I would have done it. I would have done it. Came out here and fucking done
cut
it
yourself
off.
off because of TOS for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The main problem is
Is it to you? My
Eh,
bad.
yes. The main problem of it is like that also then leads to the ideal of then it should either be you go to jail and you stay there or you don't go at all.
That's what
Because
I'm
then
saying.
that radicalizes
Exactly, like,
the entire jail system of it either being it happens or it doesn't, and then you have a major problem.
Well,
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
going to delete the VOD. I got it. Don't
And-
worry about it, boys.
and
was
here's
it that bad? What did I because I said the quote? Like I said, oh, if I wanted to do it, my bad, y'all. Sorry, everybody. I don't want to do it. I didn't want to do it then, and I'm just saying the feds
You're
are
good.
They should have either
Good
put me
thing
for
it
life or
records
let
it
me
by
go.
itself. We're good. I don't have to have the VOD there. We're absolutely okay.
It's actually
Let
like
me grab my vape
move
charger.
on.
I've tried to hit this like 8 times and it's dead. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
It's just 1 second.
But
Oh.
see, but I had the point, and now he's cut it off. What am I going to do? I just have to hold on to this thought. I feel like that guy in
ADD
Memento.
letting go of it, Nick. Just
Hey,
keep
Memento
saying it
is like,
over and over.
Gotta write a pen. Gotta find a pen. Gotta write it down. Gotta write it down. Gotta write it down. What was that? Like, it's just done. Oh man, I like that. Right when he starts talking about terrorism, his daughter woke up. That was good. That was
Yeah,
There we
exactly.
go. Heard the calling. It's like,
All
all right. Welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. Good to be back.
I was gonna say though, like this is the hard thing. This is one of the things I try to talk about on my channel all the time. I'll probably hit it tonight because now I'm thinking about it more. But it's we have become such a soft fucking culture that does not want what got us to where we are. Like the US got here. We got to be an economic powerhouse because we allowed people the ability to take enough risk, and we allowed people the leeway to speak their minds without punishment, at least without legal punishment. And so the answer to the question is, of course, in 100 out of 100 cases, what you said, whether they intended to do it or not, because that's a thought crime that we would not be able to identify, you should not have gone to jail. In 100 scenarios with all sorts of different variables, what you said, talking in RuneScape to a guy in a shitposty conversation.
It disappears in 15 seconds. The text just disappears with a fake name.
Yeah. About this, talking about a Saturday, 100 times out of 100, that should have been dismissed as not an actionable threat of violence. But now we want law enforcement to come in and mitigate all of this risk for us. But freedom is risk, and not to get political on the issue at all, because this isn't a political, even though political sides have taken stances on this, but this is an apolitical stance in the way I'm talking about it. The mask stuff, the mask mandates. Here's the reality. Freedom says that I can go and be out. And it's not my responsibility to protect you, because you are free to stay home if you are afraid of the danger you're going to face. But when I go out, I'm exposing myself to risk. When you go out, you're exposing yourself to risk. That's freedom. And if we don't have that, then what you have is a police state, because they're trying to prevent all of the risky things that might happen. It's the whole Second Amendment argument. People are like, well, what if someone takes guns and shoots up a school? And you go, well, that sucks. That really does.
It's called
However,
freedom, honestly.
Yeah, it's like that's the
risk
liberty
versus reward.
Right.
It's America, I guess.
The liberty is that everybody has a chance to defend themselves or to just have guns because they think they're cool. And yeah, someone might decide to do something bad with it. And I'm really sorry when that tragedy happens, but we can't prevent 100% of tragedies. We can't even prevent a reasonable amount of them through this. The overwhelming issue that stops crime in America is that people just aren't that much of criminals, which is crazy to think about. Because any one of us could procure a gun and walk around and shoot any number of people. And the fact that doesn't happen literally constantly is baffling to me. I mean, like,
relatively small amounts of shootings per day compared to the guns. That's a good point.
Yeah, when you think about, we have 300 million guns in this country, and we end up with 8 to 10,000 gun homicides a year, which is a lot. But it's really not a lot when you think about how many guns there are. And when you get down to school shootings and you really think about it, school shootings, there's 85,000 public schools. There's another like 36,000 private schools. So you're over 100,000 schools active every single day for 9 months out of the year. And you come up with 1 to 2 like serious, all of them are serious, but major school shootings, newsworthy shootings a year. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, this could happen every single minute of the day, the realm of possibility, and it doesn't. And that's it. I mean, your house and car don't get broken into the majority of the time because nobody wanted to at that moment. And,
I
and
understand what you're
it's
saying. It's
and-
the responsibility of humans, sort of. Our
It all
general
comes-
tendency to be upstanding speaks
Yeah.
for itself.
Yeah, it all comes
regulates
down
itself.
to liberty versus security. And as Americans, like, we chose to liberty, and people are giving up their liberty in order for more security, and that's just not how we have set up
Security ain't
the
how you
way-
move forward. Sitting there in your little hole doesn't progress humanity at all. You know what I mean?
And
Being
even, like-
unrealistic and fake doesn't help anybody.
And even having the centrist point of saying, hey, even if we instituted mental health screenings, which is like the easiest thing that you could allow
Nothing will
all of
prevent.
us, it doesn't prevent anything, because even me, you, any
Exactly.
person on this call is intelligent enough to scam a fucking mental health screening. If somebody
Well,
wants to do something, it's just adding more paperwork to do it. And
And
yes,
the mental health issue often doesn't manifest until right before the event.
the
I mean,
yeah,
these are
Mhm.
people who snap. And one of the way I analogize it, I say just about everybody you know is 1 to 2 really bad days away from a serious felony offense.
Yep.
Either it's drugs, it's drunk driving, it's where they hit someone or something. It's where they just snap and assault someone, or they flat out go out and just pop someone. A bad breakup. Someone they get fired. I remember the movie Falling Down is a great movie with Michael Douglas. I mean, people are just, your life can be going great, and then in one day it can
Mhm.
turn the exact opposite. And of course, Josh,
And-
you probably know that better than anybody. It's a great tribute to your character that you came out of prison as an improved person, because so often that doesn't happen. So often
It's a rare
people come
case.
out radicalized, and they are with reduced prospects for the rest of their lives, and they meet people in prison that they're like, well, I mean, I don't have anywhere else to go, but I remember Reggie gave me a hot tip and said, hey, call him up if I ever get out.
I can't believe you just said that name. Oh my god.
But it's
That was
true,
way too
though.
realistic, bro. Okay, sorry. that was a good name for you to use. Oh my god.
That's how they go, man. That's how it goes. And
But
it's someone like, hey, when you get out, man, if you need anything, you hit me up. We'll find something.
The next thing you know, you're doing a 15-piece, a 20-piece, or life. I've seen
Yep.
it time and time again. You know how many lifers in there have had so many chances, dude? It's sad.
Mhm.
It's sad. There's dudes in there that have been in there for 35 years. And let me tell you, I've said this before. I have firsthand experience of talking to men that have been in prison for 25, 30, 50 even years. They would not commit a crime if they were
Yeah.
released. You know what I mean? 35 years, 40 years. Judges have no sensitivity to this. And I'm not sitting here saying let's be sensitive on criminals now. This man had his chance, and he knew the fucking law, and he knew he was going to go to prison for life if he got caught. Hands down, he deserves it, right? I will say that hands down. He knew the consequences, and he did it anyways. 45 years later, he doesn't want to do any more crime. He wants to go out and watch the sunset. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's a little bit too late. In reference to what you were saying about, security versus liberty, right? We also have another flip side. Think about the Nicholas Cruz case, man. That one really irked me. That one really, really fucking got under my skin. That dude posted on multiple social media accounts with his real name what he was going to do.
Yep.
Mhm.
But they're trying to pretend as though there's some, what's
And-
the movie where they arrest people beforehand? What's it called again? People used to say
Minority
this.
Report.
Thank you. Minority Report.
Yeah.
They Minority Report my case like there's some kind of motherfucking mind-reading
Yep.
superheroes. But Nicholas Cruz is literally bragging on the internet with his real name and his real face. I'm over here. My name is Paul Gilbert on RuneScape because he's my favorite guitar player. And I'm talking about fire capes, video games, and magic and potions and knights. And then all of a sudden I make this threat and go back to talking about the game. And I went to prison for 6 years. But Nicholas Cruz is over
Mhm.
here, killed a bunch of people. What the fuck? And then there was
It's
that
all
other
about
guy.
who they want.
When I was in rehab, so this would be, I was mandatory sent to rehab as part of my probation when I first started it. This would be early 2019, I believe. There was that guy that got caught before he shot up a school. He went in there with the interview with the cops. I saw this on the news, and they were like, did you mean it? You said these threats, you had these guns. And he said, yeah. I mean, I just was picturing it, man. I was just going to run in and just squeeze until it stopped going bang. I just wanted to just shoot it at as many people as I could. They put the kid in counseling, and fucking this dude had guns and drawings, and this dude was going to go murder people. This guy was going to go murder children. And he didn't even get any actual charges because basically, I guess because he confessed. I don't fucking know. But I went to prison for 6 years. One more reminder real quick. I'm good about it now. I got out and everything worked out. But dude, can we get some consistency in the feds? Can you guys not look like fucking clowns? Is there any way to make your institution not look like evil, horrific, bumbling clowns? I don't think so.
And
No,
before
They are
Sorry,
a
go ahead.
horror show, man, and the way prosecution and even the way investigation is done, like because we can't let the police off of their involvement in this stuff. The way that questioning, interrogation, and stuff goes, and gosh, this came up in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. It was such a great moment for anybody who cares about like improper prosecutions. When the cops went to go visit Amber Heard, right? Like they got the phone call and they show up, and on the body cam, they go in and talk, and they're talking to one of the cops on his deposition testimony, and they said, "Were you looking for evidence of a felony?" I think it was a female, and she says, "Yeah, we are always looking for evidence of a felony. Always, 100% of the time that a cop is on duty, they are looking for evidence of a felony. And that is the most critical thing to understand, is that their job is not to solve crimes. Their job is to find
Numbers.
evidence of guilt.
Numbers,
No, you
convictions,
call
and
them.
sentences.
I live in New York, so like obviously they're very, very aggressive. The first thing they do is like, is this a domestic case? So that way I can handle it right now and just leave and go handle something else.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing they think of. It's the first thing they look for. And
Mhm.
honestly, if they sat there and they didn't see anything within the 15 minutes that was proven that they were there, or the 30 minutes that they said they were there,
Right.
in all honesty, who the fuck knows how long they were there? Cameras can be changed and edited. Who the fuck cares? Obviously, there was nothing.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
If a woman has bruises on her, regardless of what she says at that second, they will take the person that caused the bruises. I'm sorry, they don't listen to somebody who sees that they have bruises. Even if they're not going to press charges, the state will fucking press charges. It's not complicated. And the fact that they didn't shows the fact that there wasn't fucking anything.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I mean, absence of evidence, right? I mean, we discussed that earlier. It's exactly what it comes back to. They can't. If nothing happened, then that means there's no fucking evidence. So, this is random. I think somebody mentioned this in the chat earlier. But have any of you guys seen The Staircase by chance on Netflix, or are you
No.
familiar with the Michael Peterson case?
I've seen parts of it. I have not seen all of it, but
Michael Peterson was an author, and he when he was in like I guess the 80s or something, he was living in a house, and a lady fell down the stairs and died, and he was like the only one in the house. Right. Well, 20 some odd years later, 15 years later, whatever it is, his wife did the same thing, and it became a major murder case. And let me tell you, the evil in those prosecutors' eyes, man. How do they sleep at night, bro? I just cannot. I cannot fathom getting up there and doing the things that they did to me and what they did to this man. How do you get up there with a person that you've never met? That man got up there. He ain't never looked me in the eyes. This man never spoke a word to me. This lead prosecutor. He didn't know a damn thing about me except what he wanted to believe. And he got up there and told my life story wrong. This dude didn't know a bitch thing about me. You know, I don't know. I don't know how they sleep at night. Straight up lie. And, you know, and what really kills me is the stupid stuff. They set it up like he had a murder weapon, right? Oh, this thing went missing. He had this blow poke. You know, he had this thing for his fireplace and it's missing now. So he bashed her on the head with it. Well, they ended up finding it.
Yeah.
Three-quarters of the way through the fucking trial, but they found it. It was rusty, spider webs, no blood, clearly had not been used in a murder. You know what? What does the prosecution do when they come out with this bombshell evidence, bro? Bombshell evidence. I mean, come on. Their whole good crux of their case was this missing fucking blow poke. He comes out with the blow poke. They prove it was the one. And prosecutor gets up and he's like, now I'm just saying, do you, as a cross-examination, do you believe that this could be fake? And the fucking the manufacturer expert or whatever looked at him like, huh? And he was like, I'm just saying this could be fabricated, right? And he was like, I mean, this is exactly, they stopped making these things fucking 15 years ago. Unless he's got, you know, a home system to weld and to, you know, core out the steel and like routing machines. No, that it's basically impossible to fake it. And he goes, but it is possible. And they were like, yeah,
I guess.
I mean, like, is it possible for someone on Earth to replicate this thing? Yes, it is. It technically is. And put fake spider. I mean, yes, that's technically possible. And the prosecutors are like, see, bitches, it's fake.
Yep.
See, motherfucker. Dude, that's the whole crux of your argument. I can't
not even proving that it had been a replica or any evidence that it has been fabricated, just that it could be fabricated.
Exactly. And guess what, guys? Guess what? So, Nick, I'll let Nick say. Nick, what is the standard for being found guilty of murder?
beyond any reasonable doubt.
Any reasonable doubt. That man got found guilty. That man got found guilty over that bitch ass prosecutor standing up and saying, "Is it possible that some human on earth somewhere could have made a fake one?" How do you sleep? How do you sleep? How do you convince yourself you're a good person? Their eyes had blackness in them, man. I consider myself to be a compassionate person. I think you could tell a lot about people by their eyes and the gaze and the way that they look at you. It's hard for them to hide it. And it's just that like mean animalistic side. I hate you and I want you in prison. Like I don't get it. Where's that animosity? Where's that hatred coming from? It's evil, man.
Just playing devil's advocate a little bit in that sentiment.
Okay.
Like think of it this way. The people that convicted Stephen Avery the first time and the second time probably were about the same people. Whether or not it was every single lawyer was the same, who the fuck really cares? Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
He was convicted twice. Once he was freed, and obviously this time he's probably not going to be. After the first time, they look like pieces of shit because they wrongfully accused him the first time, regardless of the truth the second time. If there's proof and evidence showing one way, you're going to look that way. Whether or not you're innocent in looking that way is completely irrelevant to if you are genuinely a good or bad person.
I agree.
Yeah.
You could be a great person and just be like, well, it shows this. And that's
like,
what I'm being asked.
Josh,
is does it show this? And that's the answer.
I really think the prosecutors just give themselves plausible deniability by being, this is my job. My job is to show them as guilty as I possibly can, even if I personally don't believe that they are.
I just cannot imagine being in the field of law and not having morals. I can't imagine it. This is a system that has to be founded on morals, is it not? Is that not what the spirit of the law really comes down to? Is morals and affecting other people?
It is, and the again, it's triply bad when it's the state. When it's the state doing it, you know, you can expect like a civil attorneys to zealously advocate for their clients. That makes sense. My client is in the right in this situation. When you get into the criminal aspect of this, you have the state. The state gets all of the benefits of how they conduct their trial. They work next to these judges. They work with the judges all the time.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, in and out of court. And the penalty for it is a deprivation of liberty or even life at times. But
exactly,
I wanted to tell a quick story about how this impacts, you know, someone else in the real world. Exactly what you're talking about. Almost the same scenario. I had a client who was charged with just the lowest level felony possession charge you could have in Minnesota for marijuana, right? So he's got some marijuana. And so he gets felony possession charge because it's more than 44.5 grams of marijuana, which comes out to, it comes out to like about an ounce. If you have more than an ounce, then it's felony level. If you have less than an ounce, effectively it's, or maybe it's a half ounce. I don't remember the conversion.
That's like 2 ounces.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what that is? Oh yeah. Wherever the conversion is, but it's 44.5 grams. And so, but that was the charge. But the scenario is this: his house burns to the ground, whole house fire. His house 115 years old, dry as a tinderbox, and the thing lights up. He was cooking something in a deep fryer, and he put it in out of the freezer. So the water from if you put something from a freezer that's got frost on it in a deep fryer, the oil,
the water, it started a fire. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it spills over, hits the heating coil and lights up a grease fire. So he gets his dogs, he gets his Xbox, and he gets the hell out of the house. Right. And so the cops come, and I have the pictures of this house. The night is fucking orange, right? Like this thing is, there's the house on fire, the trees are on fire, the grass is on fire. And then about a little bit away from the house, there's a fire pit, and there's some garbage on fire in the fire pit. And there's some garbage bags burning. And so the cops come over, they say, "Hey, what's up with this garbage bag?" He says, "It's just trash, let it burn, no big deal." So then the cop kicks it over, right? And opens it up, and there's marijuana in there that had been used, not by him, to be very clear, not by him. And he has no reason to lie to me about this. He was going to plead guilty to it anyway, and it doesn't matter. But it was used by someone he knows to make marijuana resin. But when you do
so it was
that,
like no THC in it, just leftover.
you extract the THC, and then you have this leftover leafy shit, and so that's thrown away. Now, importantly, the stuff that's in these bags is green. It is not burnt. There's no singeing on it. But the cops later came in. They said they smelled marijuana, so that justified their illegal search of this
Fourth
fire.
Amendment, right?
Yeah,
Right, because he said, no, don't worry about it. That's just garbage that needs to burn. It's on his property. They have to either get a warrant or they have to get his consent to search that thing, but they didn't. And then the cops lied, and the judge came up with the plain smell rule that doesn't exist in our jurisdiction because the judge is a motherfucker. But that's a different story. That's not the story I'm telling. All these cops were convinced that this guy burned his own house down.
Oh,
And this was the crazy thing. So this fucked up the insurance claim for the family, I was hired for both the criminal aspect and I was hired to rectify the insurance claim. But they're all these cops are blaming this kid, saying he burned his house down intentionally, and they said he did it with a brush torch. I don't know if you guys know what a brush torch is, but you got a propane tank and then you got this torch handle, and you walk around holding it, and you spray, and you can burn some brush. When they found the fucking brush torch, because I found the picture of it, it's buried halfway underground. It's rusted out. This thing's been sitting there for at least like a decade, right? Like it had sunk into the earth. It's exact same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clearly not used.
Before I resolved either of those cases, my client killed himself.
Oh, wow.
Because of that shit. He was dealing with
Feds are probably thrilled.
Yeah, he was dealing with the fact that he had been accused of burning down his parents' house. The prospects, he thought the prospects were low that they would get any recovery because the insurance company tried to give him 10 grand, $120,000 loss.
They tried to give him 10 grand.
That is,
there's a whole bunch of legal shenanigans that caused that in the type of insurance in Minnesota that we don't need to go into, but they offered 10 grand. I got them the 120. I got them at the end of the day, but but unfortunately, like this guy off himself.
Still lost a life.
Yes, exactly. That doesn't bring back.
And at the end of the day, like they're using something that they said, oh, it has the possibility to have been used when there's no evidence, and in fact, there's evidence to the opposite effect. Like,
I was so pissed about that. Like, because they don't teach you in law school to deal with that, right? Like I'm driving to work on Valentine's Day, and I get the phone call from his dad, and
man.
it was rough.
And the feds don't care, man. One of the creators of Reddit, Aaron Schwartz, said the same thing. He was being overly prosecuted by the feds because he took some files that cost 3 cents a page out of a library or something like that. He downloaded them and let them go for free. And the trial went on and on and on. He hung himself, dude. Straight up hung himself. And I don't know if the feds consider that a W. I feel like they would. I know in my case that with my mental health history, that the whole time that I was in prison, I kept thinking to myself, dude, if I were to hypothetically give up and let go, they win. That's going to be the best day of the prosecutor's life is the day that I would go. You know, like I cannot absolutely get that to them. Same time, they might want to prefer that I stay in there and make them money and, you know, get the unicorn. Maybe they're like, damn, now we're missing out on the money. But
so they count that as you pleading innocent almost, or guilty. I'm sorry. The opposite, like in their eyes, I'm sure that's how they see it. Like they, you know.
So I want to stem from this two different ways. And Nick, you can choose. And well, you guys can vote and we'll decide. So I have an arson story in my family that I can tell. Or we can go to the story that the chat has been talking about the entire time. And it's a completely different direction about how you cucked someone or a cucked article or something like that. So we can go to whichever side you would like.
Is that time?
You guys can vote. I know we only got a few minutes left with you guys.
The chat's asking about the Cuck article I wrote.
Yeah, let's go with the Cuck article
before
he leaves,
and then
we'll finish up with a Zach story.
With Zach story, all right. So
what's this? We were talking about the right-wing version of Hassan.
Thank you.
So this is actually a story of a guy named Jack Murphy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jack Murphy, but
I've heard the name, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he was a guy. He showed up on Tim Pool's podcast a whole lot for a while, and he had this thing called the liminal order, which is like a business organization, networking organization for men to build stuff. And it's about family and masculinity and business and networking, and your own network is your only safety net, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And he was on the You Are Here podcast with Elijah Schaefer and Sydney Watson, and Dr. Dickenballs sent in the greatest, probably most effective super chat in the history of mankind for $10. Said, ask Jack about the Cuck article that he wrote, or ask him to explain the Cuck article. Turns out back in 2015, this guy had written an article about how peak apex sexual energy, how to harvest apex sexual energy was to apparently go on Tinder, pick a guy and send your wife, your long-term girlfriend, off to go get railed by this guy while you stayed at home and wrote this blog post.
Oh my God. The Cuck article.
I'm just not down with this new age shit, man. I just don't think I'm with it,
That is crazy. Oh my God.
It was the funniest thing. And I mean, he lost his mind on the show, and then he tried to backtrack it later, the next, that week on Tim Pool.
Backtrack.
He's like, well, things got out of hand on the show, but I thought Sydney, because Sydney was just reading a super chat. It's like, I thought she crossed the line. She knew she crossed the line. I had to put her in her place and stuff because she went too far, but I lost my temper and that wasn't okay. Well, then people started looking into him and they found out that he had a Chatterbait page.
Oh my God. We're gonna get banned, dude. Oh my God.
It's where I came up with my favorite life advice. My life advice for everybody. And I do have to go pretty soon, but I'll leave everybody with this piece of wisdom. Never have a photo or video where your chin and your ankles are in view in the same frame. Just never do it.
Good life advice, guys.
That's why you tell 18-year-olds that send titty pictures not to put their face in them, so that way nobody knows who it is.
Yeah.
There was a problem in the COD community a few years ago. iFly Illini. He was a COD commentator. He used to sit there and post videos all of the time. He was on PKA numerous times. And then he started doing Chatterbait streams to increase monetary value. And they figured out exactly who it was by the doorknob on the wall and the wall paint. So then Keemstar, shout out Keemstar, decided to call his officer in the Air Force, call his wife, and go through everybody and get it completely figured out that that's exactly what was going on. Nick said he had to leave at 11:45. So thank you very much, Nick. Obviously, we've been in talks for months now. So obviously, the shit's amazing. Out of the bag. I've had contact with Nick for a while. We've been in contact with both shows. Thank you very much, Nick, for coming on. The 99% of the chat, this isn't for you guys. Thank you very much. Anybody who hasn't subscribed to Nick, please subscribe to Nick. He's at Rekieta Law on YouTube. Go check out Twitch. Go check out Twitter. And go follow him and make sure that everything is good. I know some of you guys are going to leave, probably most of you, but I'm going to say thank you very fucking much because, in all honesty, this stream's going to go off and I'm going to bawl my eyes out because I've had a hell of a past 2 weeks. Thank you. Thank you very fucking much because
guys,
this has been amazing.
Don't leave yet. Finish the show. Come over to me when these guys are done.
Yep.
Because you know me, I'm going to be late to my own stream anyway. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love to chat more in the future.
Yeah, I want to ask more about your history of getting into law and stuff, man. Get a little more. It was a really great talk, man. It was nice meeting you.
Hell yeah. Anytime. Zach, hit me up and
any of your
another one for sure.
Do you use Twitter? Any social medias you would like to plug?
Oh yeah, I'm Rekieta Law. I'm now Rekieta Law on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So you can find me on
everything.
Any of those. You can find me on the Fediverse, Rekieta Law at verified.af. If you guys go federated, you can find me on Gab and Minds. I don't pay attention to them though, so don't bother.
And probably
I didn't know they were still active.
Gab's also cucksargreat.com. It's really fantastic. Also, I love cuckoldry.com. Also, pegmebigdaddy.com. All of
Also,
those.
check out his chatterbait. It's coming up.
And
69
OnlyFans
for
because
69.
he has to sell those law stories somewhere. Make sure to check him out. Thank you guys for coming. It's been
Thank you,
a
Nick,
fucking
man.
blast. We're going to finish out this next
Yep,
half
have a
hour.
good one.
But
Just
thank you.
Close
Thank
the
you, Nick.
Catch
tab.
you later,
or hit
guys.
the
Yep.
X.
Peace.
Thank you, Nick, man.
So obviously, holy fucking hell, that was insane. I know that most people are going to leave, but that
We appreciate it,
fucking
everybody. Everybody's
holy
hanging out,
shit.
man. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
goddamn.
Rekieta Law is a great guy. He had,
Wow.
I hope we're able to talk to him further because
Yeah, I
I'd
want to
really
learn more
like to
about
go
his
into
history.
definitely
Mhm.
go
Yeah.
into depth more.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. So there was a couple topics that I had in the Discord I wanted to talk about. Let's
Let's try.
minimize that and let's
I
see what
wanted
the
to
fuck I said.
Have either of you guys seen the new Mark Rober video?
No, because my wife keeps falling asleep. Damn it!
Oh.
She won't let me watch it without her.
Okay,
Damn.
we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk.
No, we can talk about it, but
Um,
I just haven't seen it yet.
I don't want to
Have you-
spoil it. It's so good.
Damn, man, I want to watch it so bad. Fuck, Harris keeps falling asleep. She's asleep
Have
right
you
now.
guys seen the
Oh.
new
She's pregnant. It is what it is.
Yeah.
the new Kingsman movie?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
No. Oh, Kingsman.
You've never seen
but I
the
haven't
Kingsman
the new one.
series?
Kingsman.
The first two
Kingsman?
movies
No.
are yes. They're like James Bond except funny. So they go through the entire story of like this kind of
It's
spy
true.
federation that's not
That's a good way to
aligned
describe
with
it,
a specific country, and they kind of dictate themselves on who's the bad guy and try and save the world in different ways. They attack the Americans, they attack fucking everybody. They go through the newest one and went kind of a different direction, which some people I guess didn't like, but they kind of like based it around history, which was amazing to me because I'm trying to talk to history guys about having them on and trying to have
Right.
like in-depth conversations about history as well. So they had people like Rasputin, they had the dude who killed Franz Ferdinand as like different people,
Mhm.
the different people that were trying to enact negative things in the world, and then they have to go through and kill all of them, and then like it's figured out who the head of all of them was. I really, really thoroughly liked the third movie. I'm not going to spoil it
Is
more
it
than
brand
that.
new?
It's brand new, but I can probably show it in a stream if you want to watch it.
You know, I don't really
You
watch
know-
new stuff often. The only thing I've seen that's even remotely new is the new Jackass. That's about it.
These movies, the first two are very, very fun and entertaining. This third one,
I
if
really
you
like the
understand
first two.
history, it's very, very, very good. It's
Cool.
a great fucking time. I did post in the Discord, when does life feel real? Because I was having like this I don't want to say psychosomatic, but like very, very internal conversation with myself about like, when does life feel like it's going to be okay? Because what the fuck? Like everything always feels either negative or extremely positive,
Yeah.
but everything kind of feels vague. There's always not that hue to everything where everything's kind of super, super in depth of
Satisfaction.
like, yeah, there's always not that payoff to
Completion.
every little
I
part.
feel like I say this a lot, but I'm going to repeat it. Everybody kind of seems to think that the next person or anybody that they look of as above them knows where they're going. When honestly, when you talk to people, nobody has a fucking clue. Like
Yeah.
everybody's just kind of bumbling
struggling.
through life, stumbling their way, and
Everybody's climbing a ladder.
there's no devoted path. When you're a kid, you think, there's just this devoted path to life that people take and they end up as adults. When it's so much more niche than that.
I feel like, Zach, maybe you're talking about kind of like, it's almost in life, it's sort of like you wake up every day and you're just climbing. You know what I mean? I don't know how to put it. When do you feel in life like you can just sit down and take a breath and be satisfied? You know?
Yeah, because
When
like,
do I feel like I've got a moment of completion? You know, and
if
that,
you're
you get
not doing
moments, I
better
feel
every
like.
day, you're always frozen. You're always stuck in the same place. You're never moving forward. But at the same time, if you sit here and you freeze for a day, that's a day where there's no growth. That's a day where you sit here and you struggle or you go backwards.
And
And
waste some
yes,
of your time.
there's days that are bad, there's days that are negative, but that doesn't mean that it's a complete waste or a complete shit day. You still
Absolutely.
have improvement, you still have movement. It's just like it's not necessarily when does it feel like everything is going to be okay. It's just like when does it get that HD texture that everybody kind of acts like's already there. And I don't know if that's depression talking. I don't know what the hell that is, but it's just like there's not that like enlightenment to life unless everything's close to the end. And so many people kind of like look back at their life and, oh, it's fucking amazing. And maybe that's the way to tell that it's over. But days get better every day, but there's still no HD texture to it. There's no everything's great, everything's perfect. Life
And nothing
isn't real.
Ever will be. And I feel like this is more of a product of our modern age, is that people present perfect lives a lot of the time.
And I think that's a large reason why narcissism and depression and things like this are on the rise. I think a lot of it has to do with social media and the fake appearances and the lack of true humanity that we really display. Because those of us who are living in real, dirty, gritty, honest humanity don't live like that. And it feels inferior at times to people, you know?
And I, not to put us on a high horse, which this statement's going to do, but like, I feel like that's what we do differently is we try to be honest with people and show our struggles. And Zach's really great about this. I'm less so, but I'm out there trying, and we're trying to be real with people and not portray something that we're not.
Fake doesn't help, bro.
No, if you're open and you're willing to speak on things, not only will people more likely listen to you, but there's also you're taking that ammo away from somebody who might not like you. If somebody comes up to me and says that I'm a depressed fucking douchebag who only complains about his mom and his childhood, yeah, you're boiling me down to the most minuscule fucking ideals.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what you think at that point. That's all you have,
and then it's dismissive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I if you get me into a specific conversation at that point, you're going to lose. You're going to lose every single step of the way at that point. It's taking away every single step and argument you specifically have. But it's just so weird looking at things and understanding, things are growing, things are getting better, things are expanding every single time.
Absolutely.
It's just weird where that correlates and where that connects. Josh, I know you sent that privately. I'm going to address that for a second. I don't care about partner that much.
I understand.
Yes, there's not that much change, but I would rather make it off of merit and people staying and people enjoying the content than having huge guests every single time and it only growing because of guests. I want them to stay because of us and come because of them.
Yeah. Oh, I understand.
Stay because of the conversation, stay because of the intent of what it is. And that's what matters. Like, partner is nothing but a check mark. It doesn't add any validation to my life.
Turns out, even though the rumor is different.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't add any validation. It just doesn't. Like, you're going to say that I'm big on Twitch, but in the grand scheme of things, if I streamed right after the show is over, I'm going to get 5 people. I'm going to get 10 people. And you know what? I'm going to
They're going to be happy to be there
and have fun. And I'm going to be happy regardless of how many people are in here. I don't honestly care. I'm thankful for every single one of you. And there is very, very few people that have that same intent of like, hey, I don't care if there's one person watching and it's my mom, which is fucking weird, or there's 2,000 people watching. It's just the intent and the caring, very, very similar to Josh, and I would assume very similar to Myth when he decides to start streaming. It's just the intent of you specifically being here is the most amazing feeling in the fucking world.
I agree. For 2 years, I didn't have a check mark, and that didn't mean my community didn't rock. Even without the check mark, we were rocking, you know?
Speaking of me starting streaming, Josh, let's get the faction server going. I'm going to be putting in 12-hour days live, bro.
Oh, shit. We're going to be streaming, huh? All right. Well, don't let anybody know how to work the secret redstone doors, man. We need you to make some secret redstone doors, you know? Because I found an enemy, so.
Those will be black
I do want to say
this
to all of us why this is open before we go into the final kind of segment we've been doing. We were top on Twitch in podcast and talk shows the entire fucking show.
Wow.
Hey.
The entire
Thank you, God of Monopoly. Thank you, everybody.
Thing.
Thank you, everybody.
There is only a few shows that can genuinely do that. And I think at some point, regardless of how many people stick around or don't stick around, I think there's people that not only enjoyed the conversation, but the people that stick around might actually be able to get something and change their life and actually enact change in some way, that they're able to get bigger and be a better person or make a better life because of things that we say. So thank you, every single fucking one of you. And Drapsky, fuck you. We're not bringing back Void. Maybe for episode 100.
Bring back for guest episode.
Episode
Void's a great
100.
dude. Bring back for guest episode, but
Oh,
A
wait,
guest
wait,
episode.
when we get sponsored by a Delta 8 company.
Yeah, we'll have
Give you a
a
great
Delta 8
advertisement.
sponsor on, you know.
I always
It
thought
is
that'd
what
be
it
great.
is.
Like if we ended up getting through with that Delta 8 sponsor, he hasn't wrote me back in a while now, but wouldn't the best sponsor be like just a 2-hour episode of us just completely silent? Like,
I feel like we just have a lot of space talk, and it'd be really stupid in hindsight,
you're
but
right.
we'd
We'd
have
be
a
over to,
great
like-
time doing it.
we'd be like string theory, bro. Those alternate dimensions. And let me tell you this, the sales of that Delta 8 company would skyrocket.
Oh, yeah.
Feel free to choose a number in between 1 and 44 because I'm lazy and haven't
I
changed
kind
the
of want
fucking
to talk
numbers.
about the story you brought up before
said
we
something
went
about arson.
live.
Oh,
Oh, you
well, I
guys
thought
want
were
to? You guys want to go arson? Ooh.
No, wait. What was the one you talked about before we went live?
Oh, before
one
we
that-
went live, he talked about his mother falling for a Nigerian prince scam.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, hit us with that. I never met anybody that fell for that scam, dude.
So feel free to choose either a Nigerian prince scam or a arson story. You guys go through and decide right now. If we want to run a
Poll
poll
going?
in the chat, go ahead and feel free to do that. I'll give you guys like 2 minutes to figure out what the hell we're doing.
I think Nigerian prince chat.
I really want to hear about this Nigerian prince because I've never
Let's-
heard of anybody falling for it.
Do we have a poll going, or should I start?
No.
Fly, dude. This fly has been driving me insane, Zach. You got to edit the fly out. All right. I need you to painstakingly go through every 2 hours and remove the fly.
Yeah, I'm just going to put a box here, Josh. I'll,
It's
That'd
gonna
make
be
it
a
worse,
box,
like a big
flying
censored
around.
box.
Yeah.
you know, there you go, censored.
That's better.
There you
Whoa.
go, Josh. I censored it for you.
Making me dizzy, dog. Holy shit.
I gotta
Slinging me
move you.
around. All right, dude. I
All
gotta
right.
hear about
Everybody's
Nigerian
saying Prince. Yeah.
Everybody's
Okay,
saying
Prince.
Nigerian prince. How did?
Okay.
I've never met anybody that fell for the scam, dude, or heard of it. No
Mom,
offense.
if you're listening, no offense. Fucking love you. I guess I'm frozen. I'm lagging. If you guys can't
No, you
see
look
me
good on
or
my
hear
screen.
me,
You're good now.
okay,
Oh, a
it
little
should
bit of
clear
lag.
up in a second.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
should clear up in a second. So, Mom, love you. If you're still listening, you're probably not. But let's talk about a Nigerian prince scam. So
Oh no.
there was a very, very long period of time where me and my mom were butting heads. And we were going back and forth and struggling very, very hard in our relationship to do with money and stuff like that. So we were constantly butting heads. They ended up deciding to move in with us because they were homeless. And I didn't agree with this at the time. But my wife was like, we have to be the better person here and allow them in our house. So that way they're
Mhm.
not homeless. So at this point, my mom comes to me and my wife and says, hey, I'm seeing somebody else. We're getting a divorce and shit isn't really working out. Also, probably not my story to tell, but you know what? Fuck it. She can be mad at me. It is what it is.
Mom's gonna start her own podcast and
Exactly. Just expose me. It's fine. No, I've had a full-on video on my channel about this entire story where I like bashed my mother over M&M's cleaning out my closet. There's some really funny jokes in there. Some really, really ones that should have cut deep that didn't, and ones that stuck out that didn't. It was weird. So she moved in with us and essentially admitted to going out of her relationship to find happiness. And that caused a lot of strain on
So
our
she was in a
specific
relationship when she got this Nigerian email or
We're
Nigerian
getting there.
prince thing. Okay.
So that breaks up her marriage, obviously, because when you're in a relationship, whether one side wants to work it out or not, it just happens. It breaks the relationship completely, or it gets fixed. This
Absolutely.
didn't get fixed. So she was dating her lawn man that ended up being like somebody who tried to rent them an apartment in front of him and his wife. Super complicated story. I called them out and I wrote the mother of the dude's kid, hey, this is what's going on. Figured you should know. Made the pun of the Facebook account Nick Green, because my name. Color.
Was it
so-
NIC without the K or the H?
Yeah, it was
Just
full on
like
pun.
that.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So we go through and they end up moving out, and about a month later, we completely cut all ties. Like, the decisions you're making are dangerous, the things you're doing are dangerous, and
Logical, yes.
I don't agree. She messages back with, "But I love Michael." And I was like, "Who the fuck is Michael?" Because both of them were named Michael. And she sends me a picture of the blackest person with kids I've ever seen in my life. It was a Zoom call, so the entire screen was black except his eyes and his teeth. And this dude was from Kenya, Africa. So there was no light in the room. And
She was zooming a real person, though. This
Yes.
guy was okay. I mean,
Zooming a real
that's a
person.
little better than what happens on Catfish,
Yeah.
I guess.
no, it gets worse.
Don't
I'm
worry.
listening.
So my mom's been on disability because of mental health reasons and her weight and stuff like that. So she's on a very, 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 very fixed income. Also, comment to the chat. Prediction: Zach was the Nigerian scammer. No, there is a 0% chance that is the joke to the story. There is a 0% chance I ever want to see my mother's pussy in my life.
Oh
I
God.
promise you.
Oh,
that
that's
is
where the
not
story's
this is
going.
I don't.
Listen,
I don't think
everybody.
you could if you wanted to. Honestly.
It is what it is.
Monkey TOS.
So, back to what I was saying. Sorry, getting overwhelmed. The viewership getting to me. So she messages me, and she started sending not only her check, but my sister's disability check to him.
Dude,
God.
oh my God, bro. He had her good. That's so
Hundreds
sad, man.
and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
So was this?
month.
What was the purpose to bring
Was
him
this
to
to
America?
support him, or
Right, yeah.
was it like a classic Nigerian scam? Like he was promising
No.
something in return.
Well, there's two parts of it, and that's the more fucked up thing.
This is screwed, bro.
First part, obviously, he needed the money. He's in fucking Kenya. There's nothing that's going on. And no, I'm not off my medication. Actually, I was medicated today. Go fuck yourself. Love you, Murph. So we looked at this situation, was interacting with some of our family, and we got more information than what obviously we wanted. We go through and we get some information. Obviously, he needs the money because he lives in Africa, and he was intending to move here with his kids. His 6 kids that were under 6.
6 children under 6.
Wow.
And then I saw screenshots of this. So obviously not fake. Every other person other than me is very, 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 very bad with computers in my family. All of them are computer illiterate. There was screenshots of text messages that he needed a liver,
Oh, what?
Oh.
which is the Nigerian scam that everybody knows of. The
Organ
whole,
stealing?
I need a liver, blah, 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 blah.
Were they literally trying to get her liver, though?
Who the fuck knows?
Is that the ultimate goal?
I think they were trying to get money from her
Then-
and using
For
it
the
as a
liver?
sympathetic leverage.
Okay.
He started commenting on all of the pictures of my sisters, my kids,
Oh.
saying my beautiful princesses, my beautiful queen, and everything.
like he was
else.
involved, like he was in the mix, just talking like that.
Yes.
Oh, hell no.
So still to this day, my mom has a tattoo of Michael across her chest.
I mean, fucking, have you showed her the song Puke by Eminem? Can't believe I went and did this stupid shit again. My next girlfriend, now her name's got to be Ken. She just got to find it.
So,
Name Michael.
so
Eminem
the
with
more
Ken.
fucked up part,
Hey,
I got-
Drapsky, looking at you.
I thought that this was really, really funny. And I guess it's kind
It's
of
sad, bro.
race-baity. But when all of this happened and we started interacting again, I sent her all of the compilation of Ugandan knuckles.
Thank you very much, too. Like, do you want to deal with
'Cause
this for the rest of your life?
You
I never
disrespect my
freeze.
queen. I spit on you. I spit on you.